My name is Aiden Peck, and this is a special edition of the Eddie's Echo. In collaboration with the Age-Friendly Auburn Committee, we'll meet individuals with a connection to the city of Auburn to hear and archive their personal stories. Joining us today is Larry Pelletier. Mr. Pelletier, thank you for being here with us. How are you today?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a senior citizen of this community. I'm 72 years old. I was born in Lewiston, and after reaching the age of about 12, moved to Auburn. Lived directly across from Fairview School. Went to high school here. Graduated in '65. In November of that year, I entered the Air Force and went to basic training at Lackland, went to tech school in Denver, Colorado, and went for training, flight line training in Riverside, California, and I was stationed in Guam for a year and a half. My last deployment was Grissom Air Force Base in Indiana. That's where I met my wife, and after I was discharged, moved to Auburn, raised a family here, have two sons, and very involved in the community.
That's wonderful. So can you tell us, you said you were born in Lewiston, yes, and when you were about 12 you moved here to Auburn. Yep. What was your childhood like? What was it like growing up in the community?
Quite a bit different from what kids go through now. There weren't as many things going on at that time. For instance, we would go ice skating a lot out in ponds and stuff. And in the springtime, I can recall making the runoff, making dams along the side of the street, and playing baseball in summertime and football. And I was involved in making balsa airplanes and attaching a small gas engine to that. Just various things. I like to fish a lot, which I still do. It was quite different from what our students and young folks go through now.
I would have to agree with you on that. Yeah. And you said you went to high school here at Edward Little. What was high school like back then? Because obviously it's a lot different now.
Yeah. We didn't have a gym. We had a multi-purpose room that we went out. At the time, the football coach and the gentleman, Steve Grenda, he was one of the instructors that I remember the most. He was very gruff but very fair. He was a football coach also, and he pretty much had you toe the line.
Yeah.
I saw him more as a mentor than anything, and we didn't have a cafeteria. And later on, the cafeteria that you have now downstairs there was and they built the gymnasium that you have. So it was quite different. And I was always a proponent for. I was on the school board for 5 years, a few years back, and honestly, I didn't think I'd ever get to see the new school built. I'm glad that it's finally happening.
Yeah, it's finally underway.
Yeah.
So I understand that you are involved with the Age-Friendly Committee. Can you tell us more about how that came to be?
That was formed by two counselors, Mr. Leroy Walker and Belinda Gary. And Age-Friendly is a national program started by AARP. And a group of us got together initially and kind of kicked over things, what we would like to see for our community out of this program. And we had some guest speakers. We had a gentleman, the town manager from Bodenham, come over and explain what they did and what they were looking for in this program. And essentially, it's a way to involve community members, not only seniors, but from all walks of life and all ages. And now that we have a brand new senior center, it's really kicking off. And it provides a place for folks to come, and if it's bingo or organizing dinners like Thanksgiving, going to have one on Thanksgiving Day, and just a place for people to meet, to play cards, to socialize, and just give them another outlet, place to go.
I think that's very important
it is.
to have, yes. So for you, what is the importance of preserving oral histories for this project? How important is it for you?
I first I saw an interview on national TV. It was a young gentleman, much like yourself, that made an effort with his own money. He'd go out and search for veterans that, one gentleman he interviewed was, I think, like 100 years old or something. He was one of the very few remaining World War II veterans still alive. So that kind of inspired me to try to do something similar to that. And not only that, but other folks too, to interview them and get their life story. And it's always been interesting to me to speak to people and see what their background is and just share stories and stuff.
Definitely. Yeah.
To keep this going so we don't forget.
Right. Yeah. I know. My grandfather was in the Navy and my father was in the Army, and I love hearing about stories of theirs from their time in the service. So
absolutely.
I would have to agree. This is very important. Can you tell us about your involvement in the school committee and the city council?
I had no thoughts of ever doing anything like that, going in public life, and actually being a politician in any way or form. And one day, a friend of mine said, after I was elected, the first time I was elected to the school committee, he says, "What's it like being a politician?" And I said, "Excuse me?"
That would be my reaction.
I thought about it, and as the years went by, there's a lot of politics. It's unfortunate, but it's just the way it is. Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to students in particular, and there's always been a representative student rep on the school committee, and I also was interested in hearing what's going on in the elementary school, not just the high school, but the elementary schools. And I was involved in a couple of the building committees for the new high school. So, as I said before, I'm glad it is coming to fruition.
Yeah. I'm sad I'm graduating this year, so I'm not going to get to see it. So tell us, what do you like about your hometown of Auburn?
I think the size of it, it's not too small, it's not too big. I lived in Mechanic Falls for a few years, 8 years. And after that, we bought a piece of property on top of Bear Mountain in Hartford. And my wife got sick. We moved to Lewiston and bounced around different communities in Lewiston, Auburn, Danville, lived in Danville. And we finally bought a house on 2nd Street in Auburn. And I like the neighborhood. We've been there since '82. So I guess I'm not going any place soon.
Yeah.
So, but it's just a good community to live in. And like any community, we get some issues and some problems, but I planted myself here. And
I myself, I was born in Sanford, but we moved up to Auburn when I was about a year old, and I've pretty much grown up here. And just this past month, we moved out to Minot, and so kind of a hard transition, because I pretty much, this is the only place I've ever really known.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
So, who would you consider to be an influential person in your life, and why?
I mentioned Coach Grenda
Mhm.
was one. My mom, definitely. My grandfather, you know, I still think about him at times. I went to Sacred Heart for nine years, or not 9 years, like 5 years.
Mhm.
And I had one teacher there, a nun, that I really liked, enjoyed. And I met a few people when I was in the service that kind of inspired me, you know.
Definitely. Yes. What
And-
about
and
these
my
people? Oh,
wife.
sorry.
My wife.
Your wife.
Yeah, yeah.
What about these people are so influential to you? What how do they impact your life, I guess?
Sometimes it was just something they'd say, you know, words of wisdom.
Mhm.
Other times, at the time that we were communicating, I might have thought, oh, well, you know, what's going on with that? And then, if you reflect on things, you kind of back off a little bit and look. You get what they were saying, you know, or what they were doing.
Right.
And I've always, you know, been inspired by folks that were more concerned about doing things for others.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
that's what kind of I think inspired me to become a volunteer. You know, I was just awarded the Spirit of America Award, and from the city and also from the county. And several years ago, I would show up at a council meeting and complain about the trash and people littering and letting their dogs, you know, drop their feces all over the community and stuff. And then I just well, one of the mayors, Mayor Gleason, he used to have these have coffee with the mayor type things, and that was right after the Riverwalk was built. And I told him, he said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you the unofficial steward of the Riverwalk. You know? So I said, okay. So, and I still do that. I work with the Boys and Girls Club. We just got done after the change of time again, picking up and grab 3 or 4 kids, and we go around the neighborhood in New Auburn there and picking up the litter and stuff. That kind of made me happy that these kids noticed what I was doing and they asked to go with me.
Yeah.
You know, so.
We need more of that. We need a lot more of that. In your life, what are some of your biggest achievements that you've accomplished? And that is kind of a loaded question.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. Yeah, I've got 2 boys. They're both in their 50s. One of them was a real challenge.
Yeah.
From the get-go, and the other one, not so much until later on in life. But I'm hoping, I'm thinking that because of the type of person I was able to kind of help steer them in the right direction, especially the one that was having some problems. But now he's a grown man. He was in the Marines. He served in Desert Storm. He's remarried. He's living in Virginia. So I'm kind of proud of that, just the way he turned around. And my other son lives in Sabatis. He just a couple of years ago got a new job. He's been married a couple of times, but he finally, like the other, finally met a woman that was very compatible, and they're getting along really well, and he's doing well. So, and that's it.
Yeah, my father served in Desert Storm. That was
Yeah.
Yep. He was there in Kuwait mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, is there something on your bucket list, I guess you would call it, that you haven't done yet? Something before you, you know, something you want to do before you die?
A couple of things that I've one that keeps coming to mind, I've wanted to parachute out of an airplane.
Yep.
Just hadn't mustered the
Yeah, you know, there's a lot
the
of courage that goes
cojones or
into
whatever.
Yeah.
to do that. I've always wanted to go to Alaska.
Really?
Yeah, when I was in the service, I tried to get a sign there, and also Calais when the base was open up there, but never made it.
What was the draw to Alaska?
I don't know, just maybe just the lifestyle. You know, I watch on History Channel. I'll watch, you know, these folks out in the wilderness trying to desperately get ready for winter. You know.
Yeah.
And but other than that, I don't know. As long as I'm involved, you know, I just lost my wife a little while ago, so
I'm sorry to hear that.
that's been tough. Yeah. But as long as it's one of the reasons, you know, I've been involved with things that I have. I've been on the Board of Assessing Review, the school committee, as I mentioned. I'm a member of the Community Activities Committee through the CDBG department, and other committees and stuff, just to keep me busy, keep me involved with the community and stuff. So.
So in your opinion, after the life you've lived and after the things you've learned and seen, in your opinion, what do you think the secret to happiness is? It's a question some of my classmates came up with. They were very interested to know.
The secret to happiness.
Again, another loaded question.
As you go through life, you sometimes either don't have an idea of what you want to do, especially when you start out young. You know, you may think you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to go into this profession or that profession, or maybe you just don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I had any big ideas growing up. You know, whether it was to be a fireman or policeman, or looking back, I when I was in parochial school, I thought I might like to try to get into college or a university or something, and one of the nuns said, "Well, your grades aren't that good, so maybe you should pursue a business." You know, so all right, so that's what I did. I was never very good at math, so maybe that wasn't such a good idea.
Yeah, me neither.
Neither, but what would make... I think if you have to work in some capacity to make money to live, just to survive, especially if you're going to raise a family.
Yeah.
I think it's important to find something, find a job first, but then really look for a job that would make you happy.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not happy at work, you're going to bring that back home, and it's not going to be a good thing. So just be nice to people.
Yeah.
And talk, but listen more than you talk. That's important. I just got a couple of years ago, I started working at United Ambulance Wheelchair Division. So I transport people to wherever they have to go. And I've seen a lot of people that really have some medical issues, you know. And I've seen the difference in how this person handles it and a different person. You can't judge, because you don't know where they've come from, what kind of life they've had, and it makes you humble. So I don't don't know what else to say.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to go over today? I was wondering how your time in the service. How did you how did that? What's the word I'm trying to think of here? How did that affect you in the rest of your life? Your time in the service, was it a positive overall impact on you?
I'd say yes. I initially wanted, I enlisted
Mm.
at the time the draft was going on.
Yep.
I wanted to go in the Marines
Mm.
during Vietnam,
Mm.
and my mother said, no. She said, pick another branch. And I did. I picked the Air Force. My uncle was in the Air Force. His son ended up being in the Air Force. And I think it was a good choice.
Air Force is a great branch.
Good choice. So, and I think it helped me get some structure, maybe enforce, you know, get up, make your bed,
Yeah.
just simple things like that, you know.
Yeah.
I learned to sew a little bit, and I didn't learn to cook, unfortunately, but my wife was a great cook, so. I think it was a good experience.
Mm.
I was glad my son went in. And at the time, he didn't have much choice. It was either the service or jail, so.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Pelletier, I wanna thank you for being here, and I want to thank you for your service.
Well, thank you very much.
I have a great respect for veterans myself.
Thank you.
We appreciate you sharing your story with us today. It's not very often that we get to interview outside sources a lot. So it was very good having you here today, and it was a pleasure for me personally
Thank you
to
very
talk
much.
with you. I'm Aiden Peck for the Eddie's Echo. Have a good day.